Ever since we all got back to in-person learning, educators everywhere have been noticing the same thing. Student engagement, it just seems to have fallen off a cliff. And that's a huge deal, right? Because when students check out, the learning just stops. So today, we are going to unpack this crisis, and we're going to explore a playbook full of powerful, research-backed strategies that you can bring right into your classroom. Let's dive in. This quote, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? Look, technology and all the fancy resources, they have their place, sure. But the most powerful tool for engagement, it's not a thing. It's that human connection between you and your students. This idea is the bedrock for everything we're about to talk about. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by defining what this engagement crisis really looks like. Then we'll dig into the hidden reasons why students are tuning out. From there, we'll shift over to solutions, we'll look at a gamification playbook, and most importantly, why the teacher is so crucial. We'll also get real about the obstacles before wrapping it all up with a clear path forward. Okay, first up, the engagement crisis. And let's be clear, this isn't just about kids doodling in their notebooks. No, this is a documented post-pandemic reality. The way students pay attention and invest themselves has fundamentally changed, and it means we have to look way beyond the surface. This right here is a really critical distinction. So often we mistake behavioral engagement, just simple compliance, for the real deal. A student can be looking right at you, they can be turning in their assignments, but are they cognitively engaged? Are they asking those deeper questions, making connections, putting in real psychological effort? That's the investment that actually leads to learning. And the stakes here, they are incredibly high. A 2024 study found that disengagement is literally contagious. Students who were just sitting near inattentive peers scored an average of 9 points lower on a quiz. That's almost a full letter grade. It just goes to show that one student checking out can create a ripple effect that pulls down the entire classroom. So that brings us to the big question. Why is this happening? If we want to solve the problem, we have to understand what's causing it. And it's way more complex than just blaming phones or short attention spans. We've got to look at the hidden pressures our students are facing today. So researchers have pinpointed a few key things. First, there's the attention economy. Teachers are basically in a constant battle with a whole world of digital distractions. Then you've got the post-COVID learner disruption, which left a lot of students feeling disconnected and just out of practice with classroom norms. We're also seeing this massive spike in student anxiety, which really messes with the focus needed for schoolwork. And finally, there's this idea of life load. That's the total weight of all the pressures a student faces, from family stuff to finances, and way too often that life load is just crushing their learning load. Okay, so now that we have a better handle on the problem, let's talk about solutions. One of the most practical strategies you can use is gamification. And just to be super clear, this is about way more than just playing games in class. It's really important to know the difference between gamification and game-based learning. Game-based learning is when you use an entire game to teach something. Gamification is different. It's about taking the best parts of games, things like competition, points, rewards, and layering them onto the lessons you're already teaching. The goal isn't to replace the lesson, it's just to get kids more motivated to participate. And here are some really simple but powerful ways to do it. You can give out points for finishing tasks, which then build up to unlocking badges or achievements. Leaderboards are great for a little friendly competition. Interactive quiz tools, like Kahoot, they can turn a boring old test review into a really fun event. And even simple progress bars give students a clear visual of how far they've come and what's left to do, which makes those big projects feel so much more manageable. Now, while gamification is a fantastic tool, that's all it is, a tool. The real magic, the secret sauce of engagement, like that quote said at the beginning, comes from the human element. The teacher is, without a doubt, the single most important factor in creating an engaging classroom. A great way to think about this is the 4 C's of engagement. The first C is connections. That's all about building positive relationships and making sure the learning feels relevant to their lives. The second is conditions, creating a warm classroom climate, but with high expectations. Third, we have challenge, designing your grading so that it actually encourages students to keep trying, even when they fail. And finally, control, giving students a real sense of ownership and the tools they need to guide their own learning. And you know what? The research on this is so powerful. Just look at this table. A positive teacher-student relationship has a direct positive link to how supported a student feels and how engaged they are. And notice what it has a negative relationship with: academic pressure. It's pretty amazing. When students feel that connection with their teacher, they feel more supported, they feel less stressed, and they get more engaged.
It's like a powerful domino effect. That one single relationship, that's the engine at the core of a truly engaged classroom. Of course, it's one thing to know what to do, and a whole other thing to actually be able to do it. Let's be real, putting these strategies into practice comes with some real-world challenges, and we've got to acknowledge them.
I mean, teachers are constantly trying to balance competition with collaboration, right? To make sure nobody feels left out. You have to make sure these new strategies are accessible for every single student, no matter their needs. There's always that risk of students focusing too much on the points and prizes instead of the learning itself. And yeah, of course, there's the biggest challenge of all, just finding the time and the resources to try something new. But hey, for every obstacle, there's a strategy. For example, think about those anxious students who have a really hard time just starting a big assignment. For them, something as simple as a future sketch can be a total game changer. It's just a quick, rough drawing of what the finished product is going to look like. This helps them picture the end goal, and it breaks down a huge, scary project into something that feels concrete and, actually doable. Okay, so let's bring this all home. We've looked at the problem, the causes, the strategies, and the real-world obstacles. Now, let's put it all together into a clear action plan, a design for building a much more engaged classroom.
So here it is, the playbook, boiled down to 4 key actions. Number 1, build connections. Make relationships and relevance a priority every single day. Number 2, create the right conditions, a classroom built on high expectations and real emotional safety. 3, gamify wisely. Use those game mechanics to spark motivation, not just to hand out rewards. And finally, number 4, give students control. Teach them the skills they need to set their own goals and manage their own learning. And ultimately, this just reframes the whole goal, doesn't it? The fight for engagement isn't really about us capturing a student's fleeting attention. It's about us, as educators, intentionally designing learning experiences that are actually worth paying attention to. So the real question is, what will you design tomorrow?